icLAAo, I can't lose. No reality where I lose. Ever. Today is February 8th, 2026, day 38 of the 100 push-up, 100 squat progressive challenge for a year. So we're on month 2. So we are on 110 push-up, 110 squats for this month. Let's go.
Colorful and show movement in ways that the ones in the last game never did, and there are far more CG cutscenes, and they also have a far more action-oriented direction than the ones that were in the last game. But back to the gameplay. The objective of every stage in this game is to get Sonic from one side of the screen to another by dodging obstacles and defeating enemies. But ultimately, the path you go on is predetermined by the game, and you can't really do anything to break the script. However, this game handles so much better than Secret Rings does. In that game, Sonic would automatically move forward, and it was up to the player to move through your mouse navigator from left to right. The problem came from Sonic just not handling that well, and the game just not being very responsive to your input. In Black Knight, Sonic was not able to
25
guide
push-up.
himself, so instead play this game on both the rear remote and the nunchuck, as the analog stick would move Sonic forward, backwards, and left to right, with the A button jumping, homing, attacking, and jump canceling. This change alone allows Black Knight to feel much better to play than Secret Rings ever could. You're in control of the game's pace, and I think that's a lot more palatable. Also helps that the backflip move is far more useful in getting away from enemies than it was in Secret Rings. Black Knight is just a more focused gameplay system, one that does not need to pull tricks like kneecapping Sonic to include some idea of player growth. In that game, basic things like smooth and responsive ground controls were unlockable abilities Sonic had, which only made a game with undercooked motion controls even worse. In Black Knight, you get ranked from 1 to 5 stars at the end of every stage, and the better you perform, the higher your follower count will be. As people in the world of the game will hear of your skills, and the higher your follower gauge, the easier it will be to level up and increase your proficiency. Doing that unlocks bonuses like a burst of speed upon landing, which actually was an ability in the
25
last game,
squat.
but in this game, you can just cut past the part where you unlock aiming mode. I feel like my review of Sonic 06 covered this pretty well, but I really don't mind this being in a Sonic game. Maybe the children's media that 2000s kids consume has been completely desensitized to things that would be considered inappropriate for kids to see only 10 years earlier, but because of said exposure, I don't mind. Sonic and the Black Knight is a story about living life to the fullest, regardless of whatever expectations there are about what you should do based on a title or whatever shit you have holding you back. Since it's a kid's game, it's pretty heavy-handed, honestly, but I like it, though. I think it's perfectly in place for all the reasons I said in the 06 video.
50
Kids media
push-up.
is a perfect place for moral lessons. Maybe Gawain trying to kill himself for losing is a goofy image, but I think it's well done. The story feels like a complete journey, even if it's not that long. Sonic proves himself as a worthy knight, if only just by being himself, and that's what I like about his character. He's cool, but also straightforward. By the end, getting the respect of Caliburn and defeating King Arthur, leading us into the final act of the game. It actually turns out that Melina was also a villain in this story, as she takes the scabbard of King Arthur and uses it to transform the kingdom as she sees fit. The game then gives us this escape scene of Sonic and the Knights.
50 squat.
Being in the Sonic community for the last couple of years. Sonic fans who grew up in the 2000s are able to share their perspective online, while the narrative on the internet when the Dark Age games were new was just about how bad they were. For me, I played all these games, and what did I see? Sonic the Hedgehog, being a hero, helping people when they needed most, taking them out of apathy, inspiring those who might have lost hope, never giving up no matter what. Not for anybody else, but because he thought it was the right thing to do. Something about his character I thought was great from Sonic 1 all the way to this point. Regardless of what the comments might say, I don't speak for anybody but myself. This is just how I've experienced the series. But on that note, one of my favorite things about Black Knight is how in the options menu you can find artwork from all over the world that was sent in during a fan art contest at Sega.
75
I haven't watched
push-up.
this fan art compilation in over 10 years, but it was really validating for me to watch it again for this video. Fans decided to draw some of their favorite moments in the series, things I've been talking about as standout moments that set Sonic apart from other mascots of his day since the Sonic 1 review. Moments like the final boss of Sonic 1, like 5 people drew what happened at Hidden Palace Zone in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. A couple of people did the Metal Sonic race in Sonic CD, Super Sonic versus Perfect Chaos in Sonic Adventure 1. Several iconic moments in Sonic Adventure 2, where the final boss of Heroes, Team Dark, the silver boss of 06, The final boss of Secret Rings are drawing Savannah Sitfeld's Unleashed, and a bunch of stuff from various spin-offs the series has released over the years. With a bunch of different styles, too, like this hidden palace one with a lot of characters, and a modern art style version of classic Eggman up there. Clearly, thousands of people all over the world saw the same thing in Sonic that I did, and it shows in this art gallery.
75 score.
It doesn't matter. Sonic's being from Sonic.
Probably upwards of 90 to 95% of shows that actually get greenlit are derivative of something else. So it's somewhat bizarre to me that people hold that against Family Guy specifically, when basically 9 out of 10 shows on television, and even now in the streaming age, can also be defined as an imitation of something that came before. This is far from a specific problem in Family Guy, but I think the reason that so many people started thinking this way and seeing the show as this shameless rehash was that The Simpsons was so iconic as its own thing and original that by the time the TV industry inevitably tried to rehash the formula, it was far more obvious which shows were doing it. So immediately out of the gates, Family Guy has this misfortunate stigma attached to it, where it is seemingly stuck in the shadow of The Simpsons, which many already viewed as the superior product which had perfected its own formula. And then after its third season, Family Guy got canceled and taken off.
110 push-up.
It's where the story gets a little interesting. So one big contributing factor to why Family Guy has such an unusual reputation probably has to do with the fact that its lifespan as a TV show is one of the most abnormal out there. So basically what happened is that Fox canceled the series after season 3, where it was kicked off to Adult Swim to languish away as reruns. But apparently on Adult Swim it had pretty good reception, which led to decent DVD sales. And a couple of years later, Fox looked at that and was like, okay, you guys are uncanceled. You get a second chance. Family Guy was quite literally brought back from the dead, where it was then allowed to just exist forever. I struggle to think of any other show that was canceled so early and then brought back and left to run for 20 more seasons afterward. It truly is an anomaly among the television industry, and it certainly changed the trajectory and presentation of Family Guy as a whole. Because once Family Guy was given a second lease on life, maybe the showrunners were still a little bit indignant about getting canceled for the first time, because the series returned to Fox with an attitude. Very quickly, it became clear that this show was no longer the wholesome family sitcom that it was originally presented as. The series was brought back with a lot more bite, and the overall tone of the series changed to something a lot more cynical. And this sudden change in direction led to what I personally consider to be the funniest overall era of the show. The jokes got a lot more edgy overall, and the series began to delve far more deeply